All right, we got about 10 minutes left. I want to hit you with this one. It says, how do you set yourself up for success during the holidays? So we have times that are coming up, Thanksgiving, obviously, Christmas, and stuff that are different than other times throughout the year as far as getting together with family, inviting people to church. A lot of times people are more open during the holidays, Jesus' birthday and stuff like that. So being that time of year, is there stuff that you do to set yourself up knowing that you're going to have those opportunities? Are there events that you have at your house to try and bring family over, or what do you do when the holidays hit?
Well, I came from a family that was non-Christian, and one of the things that happened with me was that my family actually moved away from me, so they moved 1,000 miles away, and so there were those times when I got together with them for Christmas seasons and Thanksgiving season and that kind of thing. And because I was the Christian, many times I was the guy who did the praying. And so my prayers were long. A lot of times I'd share the gospel in the prayer, especially if you're talking about Thanksgiving, man. I mean, what are you there for? You're not there to thank the Native American peoples. That's not what the Pilgrims were doing. They were thanking God. And they invited the American Indians over for their feast, thanking God. And so when I would pray for Thanksgiving, I would share the gospel. And I didn't get weird. I didn't make it a 15-minute prayer or anything like that. But I made sure that people knew that I was thankful to the Lord for what He'd done for us. And so, a lot of times at the end of my prayer, it got really quiet for a few minutes before people could recover themselves. But I use it as an opportunity. One of the things that I like to tell people when they're thinking about witnessing during the holidays, and obviously that's what you're talking about, is that you just need to relax, and just look for natural openings. It's one of those things that I think that we get way too worked up about, in the sense of, oh no, this may be my last chance, and when you're over for the holidays, literally you're going to have hours with people, and so you don't have to jump in and in some kind of robotic way, share the gospel and that kind of stuff. You can wait for topics to come up and wait for issues to take place. And, frankly, dealing with family members who are non-Christian, a lot of times they know who you are, they know what you want to say, and they don't want you to say it, and so you have that whole struggle that's taken place, and you need to be sensitive to that too. That may be an indication that you've already shared the gospel, right well, because of the fact that they don't want to hear it anymore.
Yeah.
And so Jesus said, you don't cast pearls before swine. You don't give what's holy to the dogs. And so when I'm sharing with people, I like to do things strategically, and especially if I have a lot of time. And so there have been times when I was with family members that didn't know the Lord, that I didn't mention Jesus one stinking time to them. And at the end of the week or whatever, they're like, "How come you didn't say anything?"
Yeah.
And I go, "Because you've made it clear that you don't want to hear it, dude." And that kind of thing, and kind of use that. If you want to hear it, I would love to tell you about Jesus, and that can be a witness too. But
sure.
I'll kind of go back and forth. Last guy I led to the Lord, I was over in Hawaii. And I'm just sitting there. Did we talk about this?
Yeah, we did on a show a couple times.
Yeah. So I'm just sitting there having coffee, waiting for my brother-in-law, and a guy asked me if he could sit down at the table. And so when he got off the phone, I just struck up a conversation with him, asked him where he was from. And he's from what used to be Yugoslavia. And so we had this long conversation. It was a long one. Good 45 minutes before I ever even got to sharing the gospel, and it was because he brought it up. Mm-hmm. He brought up Christianity, and so then we went there. And what had happened was I'd struck up a rapport with him, and he recognized that I liked him, and that kind of thing. And that's one of the things that I like to do with people when I work with guys. When I was the new guy on the crew, I did not walk into the crew and go, "Hi, Steve Wintery here. Ambassador of God, would like to share the gospel with you.
Who wants to get saved today?"
I didn't do that. What I did was I just did what I did. And I would I brought my Bible to work, and guys would ask me, "Why are you bringing a Bible to work?" And I go, "Because on my break I want to read it." And then I'd just drop it.
Mm-hmm.
And then they might ask a question, then I'd give an answer, and I knew that I had days to share with these guys, if not years, to share with them, and so I kind of did it strategically. And so before I am with family that doesn't know the Lord, what I do is I pray and I ask Jesus to give me opportunities. I ask Him to open up doors, and I just tell Him, Jesus, you open the door, and I'm stepping through it. I will go through it. And so just give me opportunities, help me to love them, help me not to be, all irritated at my family members. It's wild how you can get together with brothers and sisters, and you're back to being 10 years old, and your brother is 8 and your little sister is 5, and you're all acting like that.
Yeah.
And that kind of thing.
I think family is one of the hardest to reach, and even Jesus said, "What is it? Prophet's not recognized in his own town," or something. And there's something with family and people you grew up with that, to me, it's the hardest environment.
Right. I led both my sisters to the Lord, and it was through doing that. Just looking for opportunities and taking them when I got them.
Yeah.
And haven't led my mom to the Lord. Haven't led my brother to the Lord, and I love them both. But I would love for that to happen too. But
I like what you said about just relax, let it be a natural thing, not be all weirded out. And, you're going to make mistakes. Mm-hmm. Stuff happens, whatever, I don't care about that. If people open their mouth, stuff's going to happen, move on. I remember this was years ago. I don't know how long we've been over here in this building. It might have been 4 or 5 years ago. But a guy I used to work with years ago come walking in, and I was like, "Hey, man, what's going on? I haven't seen him. I didn't know you went to this church, And I'm one of those guys that doesn't have a schedule what day it is, and he kind of is like, "Yeah." He gives me this weird look. I'm like, "Well, that's kind of weird." And he goes walking in, and I just realized it was like Thanksgiving or Christmas service, and I'm like, so dumb, because he was there with his family. He doesn't go there. He probably doesn't go to church, because I knew the guy. He's come there for the holidays. I was like, well, that didn't go over well, but stuff happens, and move on.
Yeah, when I've seen a lot of people condemn people for making mistakes. It's like, well, you shouldn't open your mouth, and it's like they have lots of things to say when a Christian is trying to share the gospel, and they don't do it right, and that kind of stuff. And I've always just been encouraged by that. At least the guy's doing something, even if it's making mistakes.
Yeah.
He's not just sitting around criticizing everybody else. And so. Like I said, I would all the mistakes that I've ever made, you guys, it's because I really wanted to share the gospel, and I just treated it like it was something that I had to, get out no matter what, that kind of thing, and it was almost like I was doing it robotically. Here's the gospel, and you need to hear it. Going down through a list and instead of just sharing with them what Jesus had done in my life and what the implications were and that kind of thing. And the older I've gotten, the more I've relaxed over that kind of stuff. And it just makes it an easier thing. When people still get mad and they still get irritated at me, and when they get mad, I'm like, I had this buddy of mine this one time. He was talking to me about sharing the gospel with somebody, and somebody getting mad at him. And he was like, "What is wrong with you? This is good news. God loves you, and He wants to get you in heaven. You're getting all ticked off about it. What's wrong with you?" And it was just a great line, and it helped me out, actually, because it is good news. God loves me. He wants me in heaven. He does have standards. There are things that need to happen in my life, but it's good to know that God cares about me, and He's made a way for me. And it's not just me, it's the rest of my family too.
I like to how God can even use the bozos. I have a lot of friends, or a few friends, that they're just socially quirky, and they say things, and you're just like, dude, don't speak before you think about what you say. But it's amazing how God just uses it. And I think of Job, where he just walks in and goes, "You know what? 3 days everyone's going to die," and he's bent and he doesn't want to be there, and the whole place repents. God can use anything, even the bozos. Yeah. But at least they're opening their mouth.
Yeah.
Okay.
You meant Jonah.
Sorry. What did I say, Job?
You said Job.
Yeah, Jonah.
We've been talking about Job.